Aloha, and how's it? Today, we're talking about whether or not you can actually find your customers on LinkedIn. So, more on that in a minute. How was your weekend? The North Shore of Oahu is lighting up for the winter season with some surf competitions right around the corner, which always gets me excited. I'm getting as much time as I possibly can out in the water when the conditions are actually good. So it's hard to believe the holidays are already almost here. Are you getting excited yet? So, have you checked out my podcast, The Mango Effect, this week? In the latest episode, I actually talk about what the art of geo arbitrage is and what it's actually like to relocate to a different place in order to take advantage of cost of living enhancements, cutting expenses, and also aligning your physical location with your near term and long term goals. So, definitely check it out. And there are more than 40 other episodes up there if you want to hear about all things lifestyle design, entrepreneurship, going back to school, setting goals, becoming your own boss, and more. Now it is time for Mondays with Mindy. This is a weekly show on Monday afternoons if you are based in the US, where I talk about all things LinkedIn pipeline, promo, and profiles, what I call the 3 Ps of LinkedIn. So, do you have questions about LinkedIn that you want me to answer? Be sure to like this post, whether you're watching live or from the replay. Leave your questions below and I will answer them either after the show or on a future episode of Mondays with Mindy. Just about every single episode I do actually comes from a listener question. Today's topic is no exception, so please submit your questions and I will turn them into a topic on a future episode. Let's get to today's topic. Can you actually find your customers on LinkedIn? So, last week we talked about how to build a great network on LinkedIn. That leads us to today's topic, where we get into what it means to put together all the pieces to create your own unique approach to using LinkedIn that actually helps you find your ideal customers when they're in the mindset to do business. One of the questions that I get asked a lot, especially one that's actually come in from a number of you over the past month, was around finding customers on LinkedIn. Many of them had either recently pivoted their business or side hustle, and they had a renewed focus on a target market. So, questions that I've been asked lately have centered around how to use their LinkedIn profile to do the heavy lifting when it comes to attracting inbound prospects. The thing is, no matter how good your outbound prospecting may be on LinkedIn, if your LinkedIn profile is not in alignment or optimized, every other thing you do on LinkedIn will fall short of its potential. So I always recommend that people start with their LinkedIn profile because that matters a lot. And every activity on LinkedIn is somehow linked to your personal profile. It makes absolutely no sense to invest a lot of time in publishing content, writing posts, building your network, and trying to get into conversations with your prospects until your profile is as good as it can be. So if you're thinking, Mindy, give me one takeaway right away, the first thing you're going to want to do before you start actually identifying your prospects is to make sure that your profile is dialed in. So, if it's been a while since you've really taken a hard look at your LinkedIn profile, you may not realize the importance of keeping this up to date and compelling. So, you might have tried to figure out how to update it, and maybe you've looked at other people's profiles that you admire or follow online, but you're not sure if you've done it just right. Or maybe you're trying to figure out how LinkedIn fits into the big picture of this whole prospecting, finding customers thing. So many experts I know who come to me for help on their profile or their presence or their personal brand, most of them are a little bit embarrassed when they say they feel like they are the industry's best kept secret. And it's not uncommon for them to say, well, Mindy, I really want to get my customers. So they're usually pretty focused on finding customers on LinkedIn. I'm like, wait, pump the brakes. How's your profile? Because if your profile is not dialed in and we don't address that first, it's going to be really, really challenging to find your prospects on LinkedIn and to actually reach out to them and have a good response. So, too many people spend a lot of time building a website or thinking about it, putting together their portfolio, but they have no idea, grabbing testimonials. There are all these other elements that we think of when it comes to attracting our ideal clients and getting on their radar. Maybe we're putting together a webinar or a course, but we just have not put enough attention on the LinkedIn profile as the starting point. So I wanted to start this conversation out by saying, if you have not looked at your profile lately, Check out some of my other live streams. Look at my LinkedIn profile at the top. You'll see I have a LinkedIn profile guide. Grab that and start there because the rest of this conversation today will make a lot of sense when you have dialed in your profile first. One other really cool tidbit is LinkedIn is growing at a massive pace. So the last time that I was looking at the stats, I think it was like 750 million members were on LinkedIn, which I thought was fantastic. Now it is up to 830 million members on LinkedIn, and all of them are focused on business, professional growth, their career, and networking with like minded professionals. So keep in mind, even though LinkedIn has been around a while, it is one of the fastest growing platforms for those of us in the professional space. So if you are trying to attract customers, especially those of you in the B2B space, so business to business, you are working with other professionals, LinkedIn is so important. If your presence is subpar here, you are missing a huge opportunity to reach your customers. And if you've been wondering a few simple ways to improve your profile today to help you start attracting and finding your customers, just keep in mind that it is not as hard as many people make it out to be. It starts with your profile. So go check out my LinkedIn profile guide. Just look on my profile. You'll find it at the top. And then it's really about figuring out, okay, I need to dial in my profile. What do I need to do next? Too many people think they can just dabble on LinkedIn and get the results of a power user, but that's not how it works here. You cannot just pay money to play. You can't just invest in LinkedIn ads and expect it to work. For your LinkedIn efforts to generate ROI, so your return on investment, you have to actually believe that LinkedIn is your most valuable lead generating asset. And then you have to act as if using LinkedIn effectively will generate your business revenue. So there's a little bit of a mindset shift when it comes to LinkedIn. And I realize that it can be challenging if you're coming from a place like Instagram or Facebook. You can post things there, then you can boost them. You can get more eyeballs on it. You can do ads, and it all kind of ties together. LinkedIn is much more organically focused. Yes, there are things such as LinkedIn ads, but that is not what most people are using, at least those of us who are solopreneurs, small business owners, subject matter experts, course creators. Those of us who are using LinkedIn to actually grow our businesses here, we're not using ads. We are going about it the good old fashioned, hardworking, organic way. So we are actually building business relationships. When you use LinkedIn in this way as a true expert and you build the right professional relationships here, you actually only need to connect a few dots to make it all work together without wasting your time, money, and energy. And we're going to talk about what those steps are. I'll give you some really good questions and things that you can think about to see, can I find my customers on LinkedIn? How hard is it? What do I need to be thinking about? So, aloha. For those who are just joining and you don't know me, my name is Mindi Rosser. I'm the founder of Mindi Rosser Marketing, and I have a group program called the LinkedIn Accelerator for those who want to go from 0 to 60 on LinkedIn with their profile and network. Stay tuned because I'm planning to open the doors again after the holidays. It's been a while. It's been almost 6 months. I help professionals who feel they are the best kept secret in their industry to become that go-to visible expert in their niche so they can get that next opportunity, grow their business, and scale their impact on LinkedIn. In this live, we are going to talk about why not having an optimized profile, we already kind of talked about that, and failing to connect the dots on LinkedIn is causing you to miss out on new opportunities, and how you can actually start finding customers on LinkedIn by kickstarting the right relationships and generating more leads. So are you ready? Let's do this. Go ahead and like this post, whether you're live or watching from the replay, to give it some social love. I'm going to take a drink here. Throat's a little bit sore. Here we go. So one of the questions I get asked a lot when people are coming to LinkedIn for the first time, they wonder, are my customers actually on LinkedIn? Some of them already have a guess. They're like, Mindi, I think they are, or maybe some of them are, or maybe I have a couple of audiences. So a certain percentage of my customers are. But really, it's important to know where your customers are. If you don't know where they are, you don't know if you are putting your time in the wrong channel or place to reach them. And so, a number of business leaders, subject matter experts, career professionals interested in getting new customers are often confused with where to invest their time and resources because they are told they have to either be everywhere and just cross post to LinkedIn through an automation tool or just hire a VA to do your social. The problem is trying to be on just one platform effectively can be tricky enough. Try to imagine trying to be on all the platforms, do them all well. It's a lot. So for those of you who are one man, one woman shops, very similar to me. I have a small team, but I don't have a lot of time that I want to spend on social media. I'm actually not the biggest social media fan personally. So if you've watched some of my episodes, you may have heard me talk about trying to do the least amount of social media I can possibly do and get the most effective results. That's how I approach it. And whether you love social media or you don't, approaching it with keeping in mind that you want to spend the least amount of time on social media as possible to build the best relationships and to get your business moving forward, that is going to be key regardless. So, learning how algorithms work, figuring out if you need to have paid ads, trying to build an audience, knowing what sparks engagement, the language to use, the hashtags that work. It's really different on every platform. You've probably noticed that if you've tried to be on other places. So, how do you choose which one platform you need to do well? So, you can do more than one platform. I do. I have a little bit on Instagram, I have a little bit on Facebook, but the bulk of what I do is here on LinkedIn. So, where does your target audience mingle online? So, where are they getting together? While also being in the mindset to do business. So it's really important that they are in the right headspace. So think about that for a moment. When I go to Instagram, I go there to be entertained or inspired. When I go to Facebook, I'm usually there to keep up with my friends, family, and I have a few groups that I'm a part of. So there's a little bit of professional there, but most of it is friends and family. That's the headspace that I'm in most of the time. When we go to YouTube, it's usually when we have a question or we're curious. Like when I'm researching something, I will often type in a search into YouTube and a video pops up and boom, I'm entertained. And I'm curious about something, but I'm not there usually to do business. I'm not usually Googling business stuff there, not expecting to connect with people there. So none of these places are geared specifically towards business or professional growth. You could add in TikTok. That's become pretty trendy as of late. And whether it sticks around or not, I don't know. But there are a lot of people who are using TikTok. I have seen a little bit more business stuff there lately, but I'm not a big fan of TikTok. I feel like it's a big waste of time. And the people that I'm trying to reach are thinkers. They are really strategic with their time and they don't want to see me like dancing on a screen. They're like, Mindy, give me the goods, give me the good stuff. Let's make this happen. And I don't want any of that fluff. So really think about your audience and your market and what they're looking for. If you have an audience filled with consumers, you do have a lot of platforms to choose from when it comes to social media options. Pick the best ones. If you have a lot of consumers, you probably do want to be on TikTok and Instagram and possibly Facebook if you have an older demographic. If you're in the B2B space or a career professional, you've got one channel and it's called LinkedIn. So whether you love it, whether you hate it, you're not sure what you think about it, if you are avoiding LinkedIn because you're still unsure, maybe you're overwhelmed or maybe you've tried it before and it didn't work like you hoped, you are not alone. But you do need to realize it's a simple matter of connecting the dots that could take your business from doing okay to a sales pipeline that is bursting with people who want what you have to sell and actually like you as a person. Go figure. So, for example, a podcast production agency owner I'm working with focus on business owners and leaders who want a podcast. So they came with the problem of having a really awesome service where they could easily help clients create their podcast, produce episodes, get great guests. That is a tongue twister for the show. The problem was that nobody knew them on LinkedIn. And the person that was the head of the business, he had a LinkedIn profile that looked kind of borderline spammy. He had a pitchy headline, poor headshot, and he was not actually convinced that LinkedIn would work because he had heard, oh, LinkedIn has gotten so spammy. Nobody ever responds to messages anymore. I said, okay, let's talk through your target audience because the key to LinkedIn is knowing your audience and knowing how to find them. So we dialed in his target audience and we actually discovered they were very active on LinkedIn. He was kind of surprised. We fixed up his profile, did a test of sending out some tailored LinkedIn messages just to see if his audience wanted to chat. And boom, his message immediately resonated. And he ended up booking out his calendar nearly 2 months in advance from reaching out to only 10 people per week. And for those of you who do a lot of cold outreach, some of you may or may not do that. Only 10 people per week, that's a lot of responses. Like booking out your calendar that far, that means you are getting a very great return on your investment. You're only sending 10 messages, and enough of those people are saying yes that your calendar is booked out. So more than a year later, he still doesn't need to go outside LinkedIn to fill his sales pipeline. He has as many prospects as he can handle with no end in sight to the prospect pool. So what really happened here? First of all, he had to believe that it would work, or he had to think. He had to go, okay, all right, it's enough. I believe enough to give it a try and see what happens. And then it's like, okay, let's run a test. So he tested next. And then he looked at the results and he said, okay, that makes sense. The results speak for themselves. This is a viable channel. My people are here. They're responding. Let's keep this thing going. So when you choose to prioritize LinkedIn by learning how to connect the dots, that's when the magic happens. It's not about spending hours a day trying to scrounge up LinkedIn posts to comment on. Rather, it's about providing value and showing up consistently over weeks and months. And every week, I do coaching calls with clients who tell me they learn more about how they can use LinkedIn during a single 60-minute session than they have been able to figure out going through multiple courses, following a bunch of LinkedIn experts, and trying things on their own. And why is that? When you get crystal clear about your intention for LinkedIn, the resources you have available, and you define what would make LinkedIn a success for you, it's really simple from that point to create an effective LinkedIn approach or strategy, if you like the word strategy. Too many of my peers make LinkedIn feel so complicated that you need the equivalent of a master's degree in social selling to make it effective. But you can hire them for a few $1,000s a month to do it for you, of course, if you would like. But using LinkedIn for your company, for your business, or your career means that you are here with a very clear objective in mind. At least I am. I do not show up to LinkedIn just like, okay, I'm kind of here. I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I'm here. No, we show up because we are here on a mission. We are helping people. We are serving our clients and customers. We are here with an intention to get a new job, to forward our career. Whatever that is, you are here on LinkedIn with intention. So think about it like this. It's exactly how we go about building a successful business or standout career. We create offers and services. We build a clientele or customer base. We over deliver on expectations. And then we just repeat, repeat, repeat. We do this over and over again until we get a process that works with profit margins that we love, of course. So everything you do on LinkedIn should lead you closer to doing more good business with more good people. It's not about spamming. It's not about clever automation. It's not about pitch slapping people with LinkedIn messages. It is about using a proven system and processes that actually work on LinkedIn right now. All right. In theory, I know it sounds really simple. So I want to go back to the story I told earlier. What I didn't tell you about that podcast agency owner is that he doesn't spend more than 10 to 15 minutes per day on LinkedIn. And why? Why is that? How can he like book out his calendar for 2 months with his ideal prospects and spend less than 10 minutes a day on LinkedIn? Because he nailed his processes and systems. When you have a system that works on LinkedIn, it often works for a very long time. Now, to get to that system that works on LinkedIn, that's where you're going to want to get some input, whether it's a colleague or somebody else that you know in your space who you trust that is using LinkedIn effectively, or whether you want to consult with somebody for a short period of time to figure out your strategy and find out what's working. The key is nailing your process in your system. And then it's just rinse and repeat. And it gets really boring. I've had some clients that I've worked with. We're like, okay, we're using the same message for like 2 years straight. Do you think we should change it? Like, no, don't change it. Don't change the sequence. It is working. People are responding and you are building relationships as a result. So keep a good thing going once it's working on LinkedIn. So, how do you figure out how to connect the dots on LinkedIn? So, I'm going to give you a few questions that are going to help you identify and reach your customers on LinkedIn. So, if you're not already convinced, I want to share with you these questions so you can really think through and determine, first of all, confirm that LinkedIn is the right place for you, and then figure out how you're going to reach people on LinkedIn. So, number one, most important question when it comes to determining how much to do on LinkedIn versus not do on LinkedIn. So, the biggest thing is your target audience consumers or professionals? So, which target audience do your people fall into? If the bulk of them are consumers and they're not professionals, so for example, if you're selling a pair of shoes, I would not put much time into LinkedIn. I would probably create a profile and that would be about it. Make sure it's up to date, linking to the right places, and telling people to go elsewhere. But if you are trying to reach professionals when they're in their like work headspace, LinkedIn is your spot. LinkedIn is your place. So, as I mentioned before, if the people you're trying to reach are professionals, leaders, CEOs, executives, LinkedIn is most likely the one channel where they actually have a profile, are somewhat active, and can be reached. So, if you're trying to target a CEO on Facebook with an ad, Good luck with that. Reaching out to that same CEO with a personalized email and a great connection invitation, your chances of getting through are much higher. Even if they do have an executive assistant checking their LinkedIn messages for them, that's the thing. They do have a gatekeeper paying attention on LinkedIn. But do you think they'd let their VA into their personal Facebook account? Probably not. So keep that in mind when it comes to reachability and where people are, what they're talking about. You want to match the channel that you're using to the type of person. So if you're on LinkedIn and you work with professionals, you work with business owners, you work with other experts, you work with teams, you work with corporations and organizations, LinkedIn is the place for you. If you work with consumers trying to buy shoes, go to TikTok, create a very clever video, and you will find your market there. All right. So, number two, do you need to build professional relationships? So, what do I mean by this? If you are the type of person who needs to build a relationship with whoever you're selling to beforehand, then LinkedIn is the place for you. So I call it like the relationship based sale. So when you are selling them something, do they need to trust you, need to get to know you, need to like you, learn more about your product? They need to connect with a human to do that versus just get a demo or a trial and download a piece of software. So if the answer is yes, then LinkedIn is a very important piece of the puzzle for you. So, no matter whether or not your audience is primarily consumers or professionals, you are going to be doing business or collaborating with other business owners, leaders, vendors, or clients. So, answering that question, the first question is your target audience consumers or professionals? Okay, they're consumers. You still need to have a LinkedIn profile because you likely are going to be reaching out for collaborations and doing things from a B2B perspective. Just about every B2C business had a B2B component in some way, shape, or form. So LinkedIn is your B2B place, even if primarily you are B2C. So I just want to clarify that for those of you who are on the fence. I get asked about this a lot. All right. So we have all heard about the know, like, and trust factor. If you haven't, basically it goes like this: people need to know you, like you, and trust you before they buy it from you. All right. In a nutshell, that's what it is. So if you are trying to get people to purchase what you're offering, if you're in sales or business in any way, or you want to I mean, this applies to job seekers too. If you are looking for a job and if you're hiring for a job, you got to kind of know, like, and trust the person, right? So it's really important that we keep that in mind when it comes to LinkedIn. If you are in the B2B space, it's essential for your potential customers to talk to a real life human during the sales process. So for most people in B2B, there's definitely going to be an element, especially a complex B2B sale. There's going to be an element of human interaction. And that means you need to be building relationships with people inside the organization. A lot of you are going to be doing account based sales, account based marketing. LinkedIn is a great tool for that because that means you are going into an account, so a company, organization, and you are getting connected to multiple people inside that account. You're having conversations with stakeholders, and they are making a determination to move forward with you based on those relationships. So, LinkedIn is a really great tool. If you're approaching your sale from that perspective, even if you just are doing one-to-one sales. So a lot of people I work with, they sell consulting, they sell services, they sell coaching, they sell courses. And so it is still important to have that feeling that the people are that you care about them. I think that's how I would say it, that you truly care about them and you have their best interests at heart and they're interacting with you as a human. If you tend to push people towards a free discovery call, or you default to let's hop on for a quick chat, LinkedIn is a really great fit because when you have genuine conversations in your LinkedIn direct messages, calendar links are quite often exchanged. It's really common for people that you're connected to want to meet with you, have a virtual coffee or meet up for coffee in real life. And so, on that note, I would not recommend handing out your calendar link too freely, as that can be perceived as desperate or that you're struggling. But if you do hand out your calendar link, be sure that the call is about doing business together. Okay. So, one caveat on calendar links, and I have actually done a whole live stream around discovery calls and what to do, what not to do. So, feel free to watch that one if you're curious. On the other hand, if you are accustomed to pushing people towards a landing page or a video to learn more about you, you don't really interact with people one to one, and it's a lower price product. So that's key too. So if you don't interact with them one to one, it's a lower price product, maybe less than a few $100s that they can easily purchase without thinking twice, then LinkedIn might not be the best fit for these types of customers. That doesn't mean it's not a good fit for your other customers. It just means if you have a low ticket product and people don't really need to talk with you before they buy it, You probably don't need to use LinkedIn to reach them. Okay. You can. And I have a number of people and clients that I work with who do, and they sell lower price products and they still want to build those relationships and still use LinkedIn. But the majority of people that I work with, usually it's a B2B process, a complex sale, or a higher ticket product. So if you're like many other entrepreneurs, business owners I know, you also likely have, even if the majority of your sales is like that lower price product, you probably do have a premium offering or an upsell where your high ticket clients want to work with you directly. These clients are the types of people you definitely want to reach out to on LinkedIn. So you can see it's like, okay, Mindy, I think I get this. If I have a high ticket product and I need to build a relationship, go for LinkedIn. Yes. All right. If I have a lower ticket product and my people are still on LinkedIn, I should probably still be there, but it's just going to be a little bit of a different process. Yes. All right. If you are targeting consumers, focus on your consumers on other channels and focus on your B2B relationships on LinkedIn. So if you're a salesperson, let's throw in another category here, trying to get through to decision makers, you probably already are using LinkedIn, but I've come across very few who actually do it well or have figured it all out. So it's a really tricky balance and tough when you have any type of sales related word in your LinkedIn headline. You have to get a little bit clever. So think about your sales process, how you sell, how much of you as an individual is part of that sale. The more of you as a person that's necessary, the more valuable LinkedIn as a lead generation source will be. And then, not to gloss over those of you looking for your next job, I talked a little bit about it, your next opportunity or job on LinkedIn. When you build relationships with the right people, it is critically important to the process. Even if you are not actively job seeking, just being connected to the right people, if an opportunity arises that they think is a good fit, they're going to reach out to you. So it's really smart, even if you're not job seeking now, to start building your network, because when the time comes that you want to leapfrog into a new position, you're going to need to have established all the right relationships months, if not years in advance. All right. So building professional relationships, very, very important. Everybody should be building professional relationships on LinkedIn, whether it's with customers, collaborators, people you want to be connected to, colleagues, anybody like that. Connect, connect, connect. All right. And then third question, which activities will best connect you with your customers? So if you decide, okay, I'm using LinkedIn to connect with customers, it's really important to know which activities are going to help you. So to be clear, I'm not trying to sell you any of my services here, but this is a question that you need to answer for yourself, because getting into LinkedIn, trying to put together a bunch of tactics and you don't know how they all work together, you are going to waste a lot of time. So please talk to somebody. If you have a friend who knows how to do this well, pick their brain. Like, say, let's do a virtual coffee, and buy them coffee and talk to them about what's working for them and figure that out, because that will definitely help you. You have to decide if LinkedIn is the right channel for you. And then you've got to realize it's going to take a little bit of education. You're going to have to do a little bit of testing. You're going to have to learn the ropes, put together some processes, some resources, maybe even get a VA. I have a VA who helps me with my LinkedIn, and he's amazing. So that will help you manage some of the moving parts. And many of my clients actually manage their own LinkedIn programs from end to end, because we just put together a good checklist. And others prefer to delegate parts to a virtual assistant or team member once they actually figure out their LinkedIn process and feel confident it's working. So lots of different ways to do this. So if you have resources, if you have somebody who can help you manage the parts you don't like, that's great, because then you can do a little bit more on LinkedIn with the time you do have. If you want to do it all yourself, or you don't have anyone else on your team right now, it is definitely doable. So you just need to figure out which pieces matter the most based on your objectives. So I mentioned this before, but I also recommend to my coaching clients and students that they do a simple 90-day experiment. 90-day experiment on LinkedIn, where they define what going all in on LinkedIn looks like for them. Then they set up a simple going all in LinkedIn plan or checklist to test their hypothesis. So this is a really smart way. If you are not sure if LinkedIn is good, you think maybe your customers are here, or maybe you want to get connected with collaborators, or you want podcast guests and you want to find them on LinkedIn, reach out to them. This is a really good approach to test. 90 days. So the beauty of this approach is that once you get your LinkedIn process up and running, usually takes only a few weeks to get it up and going, you can make an educated decision on how you are going to invest in LinkedIn moving forward based on that 90-day experiment. So the worst case is that you decide LinkedIn is not for you. Then you've spent 90 days going all in, And getting your LinkedIn profile looking amazing, creating content you can use other places, and learning exactly how to do cold outreach in a way that doesn't feel spammy. So you learned a lot in the process. The best case, you figure out a LinkedIn system that actually leads to business revenue. You have a social channel that you can point to next year and say, LinkedIn opportunities made me X dollars for Y investment. And did you get a good return? So, first of all, you have to connect the dots. You have to figure out what that looks like for you. Everybody's different. Just about everybody I talk to, I have like a standard formula, but it always changes based on the person, the individual, the people, how difficult they customers are to reach, what we actually need to do, resources available. So putting that all together, get somebody to help you put that together. That will really, really help. If you're savvy on LinkedIn already, then do it yourself. If you've done LinkedIn experiments before, then put together your next one and then commit to taking action for a specific time frame. So key is definitely number one. Make sure your target audience, like whoever you're reaching out to on LinkedIn, make sure they're in the professionals range. Your consumers, focus on them on other channels. And then number two, make sure that you are building relationships. Professional relationships, that's where you do it, is on LinkedIn. And then figure out which activities are going to actually help you connect with your customers and lead to business revenue. Run a 90-day experiment on LinkedIn. Go all in. Really be thoughtful about what goes into your strategy and plan. So, such a fun topic today. Finding your clients on LinkedIn can actually be a very empowering exercise. And it's usually the first place I start with people when they come to me for coaching. Like, all right, let's figure out how to do this. Let's look at your profile. We talked about that. Let's figure out if your people are on LinkedIn and how much we want to focus on them here. So, if you have a hunch that your clients and customers are on LinkedIn, run that 30, 60, 90-day experiment to find out. Ideally 90 days, but if you want to shorten it, you can do a shorter experiment. All right, so that's it for today. If you are looking for that extra edge to get started on the right path, get on the wait list for the next cohort of the LinkedIn Accelerator, kicking off at the beginning of 2023. Can't believe it's right around the corner, which is tailored to take you through all of what we talked about today. So, talking about your LinkedIn profile and then getting your first few connections so you can start finding your ideal customers on LinkedIn. So, I will keep you posted on when the doors open, but get on the wait list so you don't miss out. I will see you all next week on Mondays with Mindy. Feel free to leave questions or comments below. And my inbox is always open if you want to message me directly. All right, that's it for this week. Bye.